The Integrity Commission's special report is out, and as you can imagine, speculation is rife as to what it contains. Today we're going to be looking into statements that were made by Julian Robinson weeks ago about the state of investigations of the 8 members of Parliament for illicit enrichment. In the meantime, let me welcome you to Jamaica 411. Thank you so much for joining me, keeping me company as usual. If you are here for the first time, welcome. I would like to thank my subscribers and my regular viewers for always supporting this channel. Your support is highly welcome and appreciated. Please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not yet done so, as well as share, and your comments are always welcome in the comment section. Now I'm going to begin this video with a statement or statements that were made by Julian Robinson, the MP for Southeast St. Andrew, at the Women's Conference, that would be the People's National Party Women's Movement Conference held August 18, 2024, where he took the mic and had something to say. And it is very interesting. It is indeed very interesting what Julian had to say, because it's either one of two things. Either he went visiting some madam, or father or mother, a teacup reader, a tarot reader, or what we call in Jamaica, reader man or reader woman, or maybe he saw it in his dreams. And they told him to expect some investigative reports by the Integrity Commission to be tabled in Parliament in September concerning the members of Parliament, 8 members of Parliament who are being investigated for illicit enrichment. It's either that or Mr. Julian Robinson had some inside information from the Integrity Commission, or he was told by somebody claiming to have inside information from the Integrity Commission that reports will soon be tabled in Parliament concerning these 8 members of Parliament who are being investigated for illicit enrichment. Let's listen.
In 2 weeks' time, the Jamaica Labour Party will start its 5th year in government. Can you hear me? On September 4th, the Jamaica Labour Party will start the 5th year of its service. In my own analysis, we will have an election this year. This is just my analysis. And I will explain why I believe so. Use a TVJ man or you just okay. Is right? Okay. There are 8 labor rights under investigation for this convention. Parliament, you know what that means? What it means? A team. Alright? We have never in the history of this country, or in any democracy, anywhere in the world, we could have a prime minister going 3 years and an integrity report guaranteed. Never. It's not just Jamaica, no democracy that could have. Parliament is going to break now. We'll go back in September. Next step, 1 or 2 other reports that to come. And when they come, Bangalore will come too. So, we need to be ready.
Now, the quality of that video was a little poor. The sound was poor coming from that conference, but the observer was present and reported what Julian Robinson said. So let me read it for you very quickly. It says, Opposition People's National Party spokesman on finance, Julian Robinson, is predicting that the ruling Jamaica Labour Party will be forced to call general elections this year instead of 2025, when it is constitutionally due, to deal with the backlash he says will follow the revelation of the identities of the 8 parliamentarians who are under probe for illicit enrichment. You hear that? So he's expecting the reports to be tabled this year, and he said it will force the contents of that report will force the government to call an election. Now let me pause here for a bit and let us ask ourselves some questions. There are 8 members of parliament we know that are being probed for illicit enrichment, 7 for making false statements on their statutory declaration. Of that 7 who are being investigated for making false statements on their declaration, 2 of them are also being probed for illicit enrichment, which brings the number from the original 6 to 8 persons being investigated. Julian Robinson is saying that he expects that those reports will be tabled shortly. Now, the question is, the government has 48 MPs. If 6 out of that 48 were preferred to be charged for illicit enrichment, how does that cause the fall of the government? It does not. So there's no need for him to believe that there will be a general election, unless he's implying that one of the persons who are involved in this probe is a critical component of the government, which would cause the government to fall, and that would be the Prime Minister himself. That does not necessarily mean the government would fall either, because it's a simple matter, if the occasion calls for it, for him to resign and somebody else take his place, right? But Julian is saying that the backlash from the 8 members who are being probed will cause the government to fall, and therefore forced the government, the Prime Minister, to call an election this year, right? Does that make any sense to you? It certainly doesn't make any sense to me, especially when you consider the numbers on the government side compared to the 14 on the opposition side. So that we don't forget what it was that he said at the Women's Conference, let us read what the Observer quote him as saying. In 2 weeks' time, on September 4th, the Jamaica Labour Party will start its 5th year in government. In my own analysis, we will have an election this year. I will explain why I believe so. There are 8 Labourites under investigation for illicit enrichment. You know what that means? And they told him, we have never in the history of this country or in any democracy anywhere in the world, you could have a Prime Minister going 3 years and his integrity report can't clear. Never. Parliament upon a break now. We'll go back in September. I want you to pay very close attention to the language that he uses here, right? He says, me expect, me, that's him. Me expect 1 or 2 of them report they fi come. And when them come, Bangaranga go come too. So we need to be ready. So the big question we need to ask ourselves is, how did Julian Robinson come to have that expectation? If it wasn't some mother or father, some reader man or reader woman, or some dream that he had that this is going to occur, how did he come to have that expectation? Did somebody in the Integrity Commission tell him? Was he told by somebody in the Integrity Commission? Because that is unlawful. And having been told, it is unlawful for him to have repeated what he was told. Who in the Integrity Commission is pinching Julian Robinson and others are telling what are going on in the commission? And are they pinching the other side to tell them what's going on? It is only fair. So he 2 weeks ago was said, I mean, do you remember now, these investigations been going on since, 2 years, 3 years now? At least 2 years. And suddenly, he has an anticipation that the report is complete, the investigation is complete, and report will be made to the parliament. He had that anticipation. Where did he get that from? There needs to be a probe into the operations of the Integrity Commission. Because if you have a situation like this where somebody in the Integrity Commission is leaking information to one political party, it implies or suggests that there is a possibility that the agency is tainted. That when somebody makes a report, there is a possibility that that report will not be registered and noted and investigated as the law requires. So there needs to be an investigation. The Integrity Commission itself should launch that investigation. It shouldn't wait for anybody to launch the investigation. They should launch that investigation themselves to find out who in the Integrity Commission told Julian Robinson that there are reports, 1 or 2, that were completed and that it will be tabled in Parliament by September. Why am I concerned about it, or why am I even mentioning it to you? Why am I troubling you with it? This is the reason why. Here is a press release from the Integrity Commission dated September 5. That would have been Thursday. And it says, in keeping with its commitment previously made to the public, the Integrity Commission wishes to advise that it has today submitted to Parliament for tabling a report of investigation and an associated indicative ruling and full ruling of its Director of Corruption Prosecution. So what this is saying is that an investigation was launched. Either there was a complaint that was made to the Director of Information and Complaints from the public about somebody, or they asked certain questions from the statutory declarations which was submitted, for which the declarant was unable to furnish sufficient evidence to back up the assets that they hold. Whichever way it went, once the investigation is completed, the file now is handed over to the Director of Corruption Prosecution, where she will determine whether or not she has a case, or the person has a case to answer or not. And once she makes her ruling, either way, it is submitted to Parliament for their perusal. So what happened is that an investigation that the Integrity Commission was carrying out was completed and a ruling made. So it was tabled on Thursday, September 5, 2024. What we don't know is who it's about and what it is about. And we won't know that until it is tabled. Then a report will be on the website of the Integrity Commission. We all can go and look at it ourselves, but it has not yet been tabled. But what I find interesting is the fact that Julian Robinson, 2 weeks before, on the 18th of August, was able to tell the public, or at any rate tell the PNP people at the Women's Conference, that such a report will be coming, right? And he's implying from his statement that it will concern 1 or 2 of the investigations into illicit enrichment of 8 members of Parliament. And the question I want to ask again, how did Julian Robinson know that this is so? Well, until it is tabled, we won't know whether or not he's correct. For all we know, This investigation could be into some other public sector workers or public body workers. In that event, it would not have been right. But even if he's not right about who the report is about, how did he know that a report was coming? I said it before, I say it again. The Integrity Commission, Seymour Panton, the Justice Seymour Panton, you're the chairperson. You need to launch an investigation. A complaint should be sent to you. Matter of fact, a complaint should be sent to you about the utterances of Julian Robinson, and you should haul him before you to ask him, where did he get this information from? You need to investigate your own integrity commission. You cannot have, leaking to the public is one thing. Leaking to a journalist is another thing. But leaking to a political party, no, that don't look good. That look to me like, some bias could be there. And therefore, your reports, your investigations could be compromised unless you find out what the source of this information is. And in the event you're unable to find out what the source of the leak is, it is incumbent on you, Justice Panton, to call your staff to order and remind them of the importance of protecting the information that you have and protecting the integrity of the commission by not leaking information out to anyone, whether the political party, the press, and so on. You have to comply with the law. You can't be breaking the law and expect anybody at all to comply with it. Well, that's my message to Mr. Seymour Panton and the Integrity Commission. That's it for me today. Thank you so much for joining me. Please remember to like the video, share, and leave your comments. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, take good care of yourself and walk good.